From EcoVeganGal.com, and welcome back to the Eco Vegan Gal Uncensored channel. I really wanted to emphasize the welcome back because it's been a long time since I recorded a video. And this video is all about why it's been so long and some of the emotions that I've been going through and the lessons that I've learned from that. Because there have definitely been a lot of lessons since the last video. And first of all, I missed you. I really did. It's so hard to be away from this channel because I feel so connected to you. I love your comments. And there's just this deep level of connection. So I mean it. I really, really missed you. And I hope you missed me too. Okay. So where have I been? Well, frankly, I've been here, mainly right there on the bed. I went to the Natural Products Expo a few weeks ago, and I've mentioned that was one of the reasons why I didn't record a video that weekend. And it was so exhausting. I did a ton of prep work, about several weeks to a month of prep work. I wrote an ebook on the expo. I did 9 videos leading up to the expo, plus a 10th video actually at the expo, and filmed the entire weekend, content that I still haven't edited yet. And then I prepped just studying all the companies and talking to people. There was so much that went into that expo. Then the expo was 4 days long, super exhausting. It was just non-stop socializing for 8 hours a day, 8+ hours, I should say. And that just takes so much out of you. Then after the expo, I had more parties, I had meetings, and suddenly it was like all this energy went in and then I blew up, right? It's kind of like a light bulb. Is a light bulb the best reference here? Where if you give it too much energy, any type of electronic, if you put more into it than it can handle, it'll just, it starts with an S. I want to say surcharge. That's definitely not the right word. Surge? Yeah, right? So when it surged and it burst, right? So I don't even know if that still happens to electronics, but it definitely did when I was younger. Anyways, you know what I'm talking about, that metaphor there. So that's basically what happened. About a week and a half ago, I was just floored. I was so exhausted beyond what I expected. All I wanted to do was sleep, and it took a lot of energy just to go out and exercise, to go to yoga, to go on hikes, to get fresh air. And then I ate, and I was eating a lot of processed food. That was it too, though. So on top of all this energy I was expelling, I was also eating a lot of processed food for 4, 5, 6 days. And I was also off my low histamine diet, which any of you who watch my What a Vegan Eats channel, you'll know more about this special diet that I'm on right now. So my body was just like, Whitney, you need to rest. But unfortunately, I'm one of those people that just wants to go, go, go. I want to hustle all the time. I'm sure many of you can relate to that. It was really, really hard for me to stop, but my body was like, and my mind were like, sorry, we're not working. So for days on end, I would wake up exhausted and I would have absolutely no motivation to work. And it was so emotionally frustrating. Because for me, I felt like I need to keep going. I need to go off this momentum of the expo and I need to update everything. But I just had I had like this conflict of wanting to do it and yet not wanting to do that. Can you relate to those feelings at all? So I still to this day have not posted anything on Facebook in about 2 weeks. That's crazy. I've barely posted on Twitter or Instagram. And I've only responded to a few emails. And right now it's just like, it's hard. It's really, really hard. And that feeling of overwhelm and guilt has just been really challenging. It really wasn't until today, which was Thursday, March 19th, that I finally found the energy and true motivation to do anything. And I got a lot accomplished today, but now I have so much work to do. So where are the lessons here? First of all, it was in hindsight, very important for me to just allow myself to rest. I actually started to feel panicky after a little while. So for a few days, I thought, cool, no problem, take your break, get extra sleep, do what you need to do. But after several days went by of me feeling just unmotivated, I started to internally kind of panic. I thought, what is wrong with me? I want to work, and yet I don't want to work. I'm not getting anything done. I'm missing, time is going by, and I'm missing opportunities, and people probably are mad at me because I'm not replying to them or creating content, and I just had all this pressure on me. In hindsight, there were a couple things. First of all, I really should have planned for it, but you can't really plan for something that you don't expect to happen. So it is a good lesson for the future to plan to give yourself a break. So this applies to me and to you. Anytime you have some big event coming up, plan for a break afterwards, at least a few days. Because I wonder, had I given myself like full days of rest after the event, like no meetings, no email, no social media, just slept and watched TV or read or, went outside and whatever, just like minimal communication, maybe it wouldn't have taken me quite as long to get back into my groove. Great lesson right there. Please implement that. I definitely will. Speaking to my future self too. But I also feel like I should have been more gentle on myself emotionally. I guess I didn't know. Sometimes when we're stuck in something, we feel like it's never going to end. And in hindsight, we're laughing at ourselves thinking, of course it was going to end. But at the time, I thought that maybe I was never going to feel motivated again. And now it's laughable because I'm back to my old self. So I think I should have been more gentle with myself and not let the guilt eat away at myself and know that people are understanding. And if they're not understanding, then they're not really the type of people I want in my life anyways. One thing I've discussed on this channel a few times is I do have a lot of pressure to respond and communicate with people. But I learned something huge recently as a part of all this reflection is that it's a lot to ask to communicate with people. So I started counting how many ways people communicate with me, right? And this is probably going to apply to you too. So let's really think about this. We have our traditional forms of communication. We've got phone, email, and now text. So those are like three very common ways of communicating personally and professionally, right? So you could technically even double this if you run a business or your business is integrated into your life. So 3 ways personally, and then those 3 ways can be applied professionally. So you're receiving those both, 6 different forms of communication there. Then the same goes with social media. So for me, I have a personal Facebook account plus my Eco Vegan Gal account. And there's many ways people communicate there. So posting on my wall, commenting on my posts, sending private messages, tagging me in posts. So we can multiply that by 2 as well. So 6 plus 8. So now we have 14 doing some math here. 14 different forms of communication there if you're multiplying personal and professional. Same thing with Twitter. We have people that reply to your posts, people that mention you, people that direct message you. So you could multiply that personal and professional, but most people just have one Twitter account. So now we have 17 forms of communication. Then many of us are on Instagram. Most people just have one Instagram account. So we have people that mention you in posts, comment on your posts, direct message you. So now there's 20 forms of communication, right? And not to mention Pinterest, which I'm not going to get into at the moment, or Tumblr, or Snapchat, right? So those could add additional on there. Then we have YouTube. If you're on YouTube, I have multiple YouTube accounts. And so lots of comments on videos there. So for me, I have 3 really active YouTube accounts. So now I'm up to 23 forms of communication. Then I know I'm leaving something out. I'm completely blanking on what it is right now. But that's over 20 forms of communication every single day. right? So every day, I check my email, I check my text messages, I check my voicemail, I check my Instagram, my Facebook, my Twitter, my YouTube, sometimes my Pinterest, sometimes my LinkedIn, rarely my Tumblr, like all of that. And that's usually the first thing I do when I wake up. I check that multiple times a day. I check that at the end of the day. It's just bombardment of people trying to reach me. And I'm sure all of you can relate, right? We all live in that world. And it's like, we got to step back and take a deep breath. I was wondering today, why do I get so overwhelmed? No wonder. Over 20 forms of ways that people can communicate with you. And there's likely different people on each different network and multiple people, not to mention personal communication. It's so much. We've got family, we've got friends. I go to a lot of events, or you go to the grocery store, or you go to the yoga studio, or wherever else you go, all these people that talk to you or ask you questions or this and that. And it's just like so much. So I guess the huge overarching message is it's so important to just like have an out-of-body experience and look down at yourself and go, wow, you are doing so much already, and yet you're still not feeling like you're doing enough. That's crazy. But we live in this world right now where we're almost expected, or people don't realize it. And so I'm actually trying to find a way to communicate that to people. Like, how do I remind others? If I barely know it myself, how do I remind others, hey, I don't even know what to do. Like, I wish I could automatically reply to every single form of communication and just like explain to them that I'm feeling a little bit overwhelmed. And all of this is on top of other work. It's just insane. And it's not meant to come across as a complaint. It's just meant to remind myself and you that there's so much happening in life these days. You know, if you watch TV, then you're bombarded with all these messages. You drive, you're bombarded with messages. There's so much communication happening. There's so much that our brains are doing. No wonder we get burnt out. And I think it's so important to just take time for yourselves, because ultimately these feelings are a form of stress. And when your body's stressed, it really wears you down. It's shortening your life. It's shortening your reaction, your immune system. It's weakening your immune system. So we need to protect ourselves. We need to kind of hibernate every now and then. Get an extra hours of sleep every once in a while, or several hours. Hang out in bed and read or watch something and just disconnect. But even then, even when you're watching something, right, you're still absorbing lots of information, or reading as well. So it's no wonder I really pulled back from creating content and being online and responding to people. It's just so much. And when you add that on top of an event where all you're doing is communicating, then, how much can we possibly take? I feel like humans are evolving to be better at that, but ultimately all of this is so new to us. Snapchat is like brand new. Most of the forms I mentioned really have only been around for less than 10 years. And for us to kind of evolve to communicate faster and more frequently and all these different forms, and our brains, it's like, is that going to be the new form of death? Like, are our brains just going to be like, I can't handle it anymore, I'm done? Right? Not to mention all the electrical fields that we have surrounding us now. And it's like, it's enough to just drive someone to the brink. So let's all just take the time to acknowledge this and to give ourselves the space to step back and disconnect, to go into nature, to meditate, to sleep more, to just be by ourselves, to take the best care of ourselves as possible, and just to allow that. I think this should be a daily practice, but definitely a weekly practice, and absolutely a monthly and yearly practice. I remember when I was working full time, you would look forward to the weekends. You would look forward to the time that when it was time to go home, and you would really look forward to vacations. But did it ever really feel like enough? Not for me. I never felt rested when I worked full time. I never felt like vacations were long enough. And so if you're in that position, there's a reason for it, you know? So what do? Well, take your sick days and spend a vacation unwinding versus doing more during a vacation. Enjoy your weekends and your nights and get plenty of rest. Or opt out of that system and do what I did and start working for yourself or become a freelancer, an entrepreneur, so that you can build your own schedule. But remember that even when you do that, case in point, you can really burn yourself out. So you have to build in this self-care and this allowance of a pause in the hustle, right? I guess any of us, if you're a parent, you can experience that too, right? You just feel like you always have to be on. So how do you build in that rest into your life where you can step back? And actually, I would love to hear from you now. So tell me, what do you do, or what are you intending to do to give yourself rest? I want all of you to answer in a comment. Put it into words, even if you've never really thought about it before. Write it down. And as you're writing in the comment, before you press that comment button, look at it and think, are you really giving yourself the time that you need to recover, to rejuvenate, to de-stress, to unplug? Really? Watching TV does not really count. To me, well, honestly, I'll pause there because I agree and disagree with that statement. I actually love watching TV. I watch TV on a daily basis. It's hard for me to admit that because there's always like guilt associated with TV watching, but to me, it's like a massive form of unplug for me. And I actually watch TV without ads. So I have my own little system for watching TV online, and I'll sometimes just watch hours of TV in bed. I'll just get in bed with my laptop, watch a few hours of TV, and then get back to work. And it's so helpful for me, but ultimately it's even more helpful to not have that. So another thing that I do is I go to yoga almost every day, or 5 days a week, I try. And I won't bring my cell phone with me. I walk to yoga. So through walking to yoga, it's just me and all the cars driving by me. I live in a busy area, right? So I have a 10-minute walk there and a 10-minute walk back. Plus I have my yoga class without any online communication. So almost 2 hours of that every day if I go. And it's so, so helpful. So those are some examples, right? Really put some thought into it with the comments, and that'll not only hold you accountable for yourself just by writing it out and give other people ideas, but you never know how you're going to inspire somebody, and you never know how somebody else is going to hold you accountable. Energetically, when you write something and you put it out to the world, you're holding yourself accountable. I want all of you to hold yourself accountable, and I'm going to hold myself accountable for allowing yourself to unplug and being okay with that. And sometimes it takes longer than we want it to, but that's okay. And nothing's going to blow up, right? Maybe some people are going to unsubscribe to my YouTube channel. That's fine. If, that happens. But that, you got to be okay with that too. There may be consequences to unplugging, but are you okay with the consequences? And most often, the consequences are not nearly as bad as we're afraid they're going to be. And there's always a give and take in life anyways, right? I feel really good after just saying this. Like, I learn so much every time I record these videos. So these are for me and for you. And really, your comments mean so much. If I don't reply to them, it's probably because I'm in that overwhelm mode, right? But energetically, I'm always sending you love with every word of yours that I read. Your comments mean so much, and I bet you they mean a lot to other people. So continue putting them out there. Thank you so much for being here today. I will see you next time. I'm trying to get back onto my Sunday posting schedule, but I wanted to sneak this one in a little bit earlier. Okay, well, until next time, have a fantastic period of time, however long that is. I don't know why I did this. That could be like a few different things, right? It's kind of meant to be this. Well, does that represent time? I don't know. All right. See you later.